What's going on, everyone? What a blowout. Now, problem is, it's too little too late. It's like, man, where was this the last 3 games? Now you decide to wake up. Now Luka all of a sudden decides to stop crying and actually play basketball. Role players decide to step up. Everybody looks good. Boston's struggling, right? Like, it's just, again, I'm glad. Look, one, I always take more basketball, right? As a basketball fan, I want this series to go as long as possible. 2, I'd like to see a little pressure, right? A little pressure on Boston. I'd love to see Dallas go and steal a game in Boston, right? Like steal game 5. It's probably over in game 5, but it would be nice to maybe see Dallas kind of, let's lean on that house of cards a little bit and see what happens, right? Like put a little pressure on Dallas, but inevitably, or Boston, put pressure on Boston. But inevitably, Boston's going to win this game. I just don't see Dallas. Boston missed a lot of wide open shots. Credit Dallas's defense. Don't get me wrong. Like, Dallas did a really good job on the defensive end. They really picked up the intensity of this game, but it's just like, again, it kind of feels a little too late in this regard. There's also a part of me that's kind of like, just get this over with so we can kind of get to the offseason so we can hire our new head coach, which is probably going to be JJ Redick, right? They're supposed to interview him this weekend. That's the problem with this now, because the Lakers can't hire JJ Redick until the finals is over. Well, now that the finals is going to be extended till Monday, I was hopeful and thinking that, like, okay, maybe we get the announcement Monday or Tuesday that JJ Redick is going to be the Lakers head coach. I mean, it still could technically come Tuesday, right? Like, the final game could be Monday. Boston could win that, wrap it up, call it a night, call it a season, right? Win the NBA championship, which it's like prolonging the inevitable. It's frustrating, but get that process out of the way, get that done, get that over with, and then if they already have, because if they meet this weekend, right? I think, don't know, not an insider, just a fan. But my guess, if they're meeting with JJ again, it's to like, hey, here you go, here's your offer, right? Here's our thoughts. They'll have that back and forth. They'll kind of give them an idea of like, hey, this is what we're looking to bring you on at. They'll probably have a little back and forth, and then I think they'll come to a conclusion. And then my hope was that Monday, right, because you'd have the weekend, get through the weekend, Monday we'd get the announcement that, hey, JJ Redick is signing on, breaking news, JJ Redick's the new head coach, and we all go, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I didn't see that coming. Wow. What a signing, right? And we all got to pretend like we had no idea it was going to be JJ. That was kind of the hope. That was kind of the plan. Now what this means is that it's just prolonging that hire. Again, maybe the Lakers come out of left field and they end up hiring James Borrego or somebody else. But I just think realistically, I think it's probably going to be JJ. I think the Lakers are interviewing JJ again for the purposes of like, hey, I mean, even the reports were like to basically re-solidify him as the front runner and put him in position to get the head coaching job. I think he sits down. I think that conversation's like, hey, we did the Dan Hurley thing. I think everybody knows what the Dan Hurley thing is, right? There's all this smoke. There's all this talk. There's all this just like, noise about potentially hiring JJ Redick. So many people are like, no way, like he has no experience, this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay, well, hey, Dan Hurley, we know we're not going to get him. We're not going to, he doesn't really want to come unless it's like some blowaway offer. We'll give him, a respectable offer, but nothing crazy. And then Dan Hurley returns and we go, oh, hey guys, sorry. Man, we tried to get Dan Hurley. Who else were we going to hire? It was JJ Redick, when in reality it was JJ Redick the whole time, right? There's all these like talks about like, oh, well, JJ Redick doesn't want the job anymore. Then why is he interviewing again? Right? If he really doesn't want the job, like, you're not going to go interview for something that you don't want to do, right? Like, it's pointless, right? Like, all the noises to me is just that. It's noise. I think the Dan Hurley thing was a distraction. Look over here while we're working out things over here. Also, JJ Redick, he's in the NBA Finals, right? He's commentating and all that stuff. what would have taken a lot of the headlines had Dan Hurley not came to fruition. I don't think it's a coincidence that the Dan Hurley news happened the day one of the NBA Finals. Literally, game one, we got the news of Dan Hurley. Like, why? If supposedly they were talking for months or a month, right? So, like, why on the day of the NBA Finals did that news break? Well, because JJ Redick is the guy that's commentating for the NBA Finals. So to basically distract everybody from JJ Redick over here, so all of the news, all of the talk, all of the us YouTubers and the media and everybody like, what were we all talking about? Dan Hurley, Dan Hurley, Dan Hurley, Dan Hurley. Now, I was saying I still believe it's going to be JJ Redick. I don't believe it's going to be Dan Hurley. I think Dan Hurley is just noise. Turns out I was right. He was just noise. I still believe it's going to be JJ Redick. And I think that whole Dan Hurley thing was just to A, give the Lakers a get out of jail free card, and B, I think it was to basically distract and keep attention away from JJ while this happened. Because as soon as Dan Hurley was gone, what happened? JJ Redick, JJ Redick, JJ Redick, JJ Redick, JJ Redick, right? Like, it's just, again, like, but you had that 3-game stretch or whatever where it wasn't JJ, it was Dan Hurley, and everyone was focused and talking about that. Now, again, maybe it's me putting my tinfoil hat on and it's just a conspiracy. Now, I still firmly believe that Dan Hurley didn't go into that in good faith, but I do think that there was a level of kind of like, mutual kind of like, hey, this isn't going to happen, but let's just see where it goes type thing. Like, I think Dan Hurley was interested. I just think that he was only interested if it was something insane, right? And I think the Lakers, they weren't really interested unless it was something where he basically was willing to take the offer. All right, I think the Lakers might have even given him a little more. That's why I'm frustrated with Dan Hurley, because it's like you didn't negotiate in good faith, right? Like, that's what negotiating is. It's a negotiation, right? You give me a price, I give you a price, and we try to meet in the middle. Right? That's where my frustration lies with Dan Hurley. And then to go on a press tour and basically throw your hands up like, oh, well, I would have came if the money, but you don't even know the amount. So you didn't go into that interview with any kind of clue or idea of what you wanted or what to expect. And now all the reports are coming out that like his wife was furious and she doesn't want to go and all that stuff. He was never coming. It's always been JJ Redick. And to me, all this did was just kind of prolong the JJ Redick hiring. Because again, if James Borrego is really the guy, hire James Borrego. Why isn't he hired yet? I mean, he's literally could be minutes away from signing with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Right? Like, I mean, there's reports that like they're on the brink. Right? They're just kind of working at things out, and like the Cavs want to do like 1 or 2 more interviews real quick, but they're probably gonna hire him. Right? Like, so again, like if it's not JJ, why have we hired somebody else? Hire somebody, get it over with. Right? I mean, we're inching closer and closer to the draft. Now, you don't necessarily need a coach for the draft, but you want one. And the sooner we get a coach, the sooner he can start getting involved. He can start laying the groundwork and foundation. You also want his input on things. I think the Lakers trade the 17th pick. Like I do. Like I don't like, that's why I'm not really worried about the draft. I mean, in most cases, right, you want your head coach to kind of be involved in the draft talks, because that way, if you draft somebody and you keep them, he's somebody that can be implemented into your head coach's, schemes, right? That's the idea. But I believe the Lakers are going to work out the 17th pick, or are going to trade the 17th pick. Sorry, not work out the 17th pick. What I was going to say, working out, is the Lakers haven't really worked out a bunch of guys at 17. They've worked out like 4 guys. Right? They've worked out Holland, who's not going to be there, Edie, and I believe Ware, and then I know there's somebody else I'm missing off the top of my head. But like they've worked out a bunch of guys. They've worked out like 20 guys. But the other like 10 guys have all been, anywhere from the 55th pick to undrafted, right? So to me, the Lakers are probably going to end up trading that pick. So that's why I'm not like super concerned about like, hey, you got to get a coach. But all this game does is basically prolong the process of getting JJ and allowing him to start, hiring assistants and, working out how does he want to structure stuff and kind of sit down with Rob, sit down with Jeannie, right? Because he can't do any of that stuff as long as this is going on, the NBA Finals is going on. Again, I like the basketball fan in me. is like, cool, we get more basketball, right? Like, I'll never say no to more basketball. The more the merrier. But the diehard Laker fan of me is like, can we just get this over with? One, so that way I can go sulk and and be upset that the Celtics just broke the tie. And then two, can we go get our head coach so we can kind of move off of this and get in a different direction, you know? Because it's just like every day it's new reports. And like, look, from a content creator perspective, words are hard. But from a content creator perspective, like, this is great for me because it gives me a bunch of free stuff to talk about, right? It gives me a bunch of content to kind of dive into, right? So from, a creator standpoint, I'm cool, I'm happy, right? But like, the Laker fan in me, and that's the balance that I have to have at times between the diehard Laker fan and then like the content creator. It's like, oh, this is great, but I want this to be over, right? Like, so it's just this juggling act, right? So anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think this is just, all this is doing is just prolonging JJ Redick being the head coach of the Lakers? Do you think, no, it's going to be somebody else? Do you think the Lakers surprise us and somebody out of left field? Again, how I feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.